welcome to Transpotting, the podcast you know and love. I hope, because you're here. I am your host tonight, River, she/Faye, pronoun user. I'm here with S. Morgan Burbank, author and wonderful person. Say hi and introduce yourself for everyone.
Hi there. Hello. I'm S. Morgan Burbank. Pronouns are they, them, or she, and I originally had that, but it was too long for the little screen thing, so I shortened it to they, them, just because it was annoying me that it was cutting stuff off. But they, them, or she was fine. I am an author. I primarily write sapphic science fiction, although not exclusively just sci-fi. It's my second time on the podcast, actually.
Yes.
I was on here, not last year,
back.
the year before, I think.
Season 1, like the end of season 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very end of that.
Let's say, I think it was end of season 1.
Yes. Welcome back. I'm so excited to have you back. I think back then it was Marcia and Celeste were interviewing you with me, and now it's just me tonight. I am so curious. What have you been up to? I know there's a whole thing we want to get to about a pretty good reason why you're here. Because you gotta plug some stuff. You gotta plug stuff, right? And I love it to plug stuff. I plug stuff all the time. But before we get to that, we gotta make them want it, right? Yeah. So, what have you been up to? So the last time that Transpotting saw you, we were talking about Woodpusher. I think the book at the time that recently had released. Once you published that, what kind of happened, and where have you been? What's been going on?
I've been doing quite a bit since then. So, as you said, Woodpusher came out right around the time the last episode aired. That was the second book in my main sci-fi series that I've been working on. That series is still ongoing. I'm writing book 3 currently. It is still in a drafting stage. Haven't announced like a name or a release date or a cover or anything like that. We're getting there on that. It's been a challenge to write it, both because there's a lot of continuity you have to do when you're 3 books deep into a series, and that just takes time. And also the fascism boss, all the things like that. That said, since that happened, I have released a novella with a very long name that I shorten when talking about it. So in December of 2025, so last year, I released a novella by the name of Guitar Concerto in C-flat major, opus number 12, Lucina. And again, long name. I just shortened it to opus because it's much easier to type when you have a character limit to type a 4-character name than a, 105 or whatever it is character name. That's it. That's a trans self-discovery novella in 3 parts. It's very music heavy in terms of the design, in terms of the theming, in terms of the cover. It's the first time I've ever made a cover of a book. Don't need to do that again, if I'm honest. But yeah. And then, so released that in late 2025. Been working on other stuff throughout the course of last year and this year. This year I was helping a lot with Pride Book Fair over on Book Sky, on Blue Sky, and doing a lot of their setup for like itch bundles and whatnot, and writing books. I spent most of 2025 editing the book I'll plug and talk about as we go along the stream, which is a book called Project Tasman, which I'll talk about in more detail, but it's also sapphic sci-fi, albeit more thriller or psychological book than true dystopia or true sci-fi. And then I've been working on another book that is in very early stages that is What If Twister but lesbians. Riv, you are muted.
Say that one more time. Sorry, the AC got really loud for a second.
It's okay.
So I muted.
The other book I'm currently working on is Twister with lesbians.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought I heard. Can we pause for a second? Because I need to know more about this, because this is relevant to all of my interests, I'm pretty sure.
I have found that this is a very common reaction when I tell people about this.
Yeah.
So I have wanted to write a book. I don't want to say centered around because it's not like truly centered around, but where a main theme is tornadoes for a very long time. I went to college, and as an undergrad, I originally started out as a double major. One was supposed to be broadcast journalism. That's what I ended up doing. The second major was supposed to be meteorology. And then my university dropped that program after my first semester. But that didn't mean I didn't want to keep studying and learning about meteorology. Tornadoes have always fascinated me. I possibly dumbly, according to some folks, storm chased for a while.
No, you did?
I did not say well.
We're gonna have to put a little pin in that. Like, I need to hear some stories at some point.
I do not have many. Admittedly, there are not that many tornadoes in Ohio.
Okay, fair.
But I did try when they were around.
Okay.
Did that for about 2.5 years. Again, probably not the most intelligent move on my part, but I did do it. That said, I've wanted to write because of the story that has a very heavy focus on meteorology and tornadoes and whatnot for a while now. And like, I feel as though like leaning as heavily into the true meteorology side as Twister did, even though it's obviously very much a movie intended to entertain. There's a lot more science in it than I think people realize.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that's what I want, if that's what I wanted to do on it. And admittedly, you know, just kind of had the idea toying around in my head for several years now. And when I was on, when I was in Chicago recently with family, I had an interaction with an employee at a diner in Chicago that gave me a spark for like what one of the two main characters should act like. And I just started writing the draft that night, and it's very much something that I want to keep working on right now, but I have like between Project Tasman going to be coming out at some point here in the near future, and then book 3 in the main Aces Realm series. Like, I need to do other things, but like, I want to pick at this story that's like, hello, there are 2 queer couples in this story, and we're going to destroy a town in Illinois with tornadoes.
Yeah. I get why that would want to interrupt your flow of of other projects and be like,
quite literally.
Like plop right down, smash all the Legos out. You're going to work on this.
Yes, I very much want to work on that. Like, yeah. It's not
Sapphic Twister.
It's not the only one that's been lingering like that. There's that and two others that have been lingering around for a while. And it's just the one that's sticking to my head right now.
Sure. Oh man. Okay. So you said you don't have
Twister. That's pretty much what it is. As it is currently constructed, there may be some slight shifting in this as I write it, but I don't think like the main character identities are one I want to change too much. There's 2 main couples that the story focuses on. The first is a trans woman and a non-binary person that is very sapphically inclined, and the other is the the little sister of said non-binary person, and then her girlfriend. And
it's a regular who's who of queer identities.
Well, and like very much the intent with that, once I get it done, is to focus on like they're all briefly coming together in this town for various reasons, and like one of them, this town in Illinois is escape. It is so much better than where they're from. Read, they're from Ohio. Someone's like, I got stuck coming back here because there's no one to parent my little sister now that my parents have passed on. And little sister's like, you know, I love this place. And then her girlfriend's like, I love this place too, but like I have college opportunities so many places that it's like just because you want something doesn't mean you get to have it type thing. Like these very diverging wants and needs. Like the intent is to play around with that. I also really want to, and I do not know how I'm going to do this. I want to make meteorologically accurate maps to put in the book because I'm a nerd like that.
Oh, so you're like Tolkien, but with weather is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I want to make, like I've always wanted to make a map in a book. Never had a good reason. This is a good reason.
Up and down again, a Twister story. That could also be the other version that gets made later.
Yes. No, I have a working title for that one actually. Unlike some of the other projects that I still don't know what I'm doing with, even if like there's one that I have like an entire outline written and multiple chapters drafted, and I have no idea what the title's going to be. That's my usual, to be clear, process.
Okay, cool. I was going to ask you what your process was.
The process is that I hope I have a title by the end of the book. This one, like I had a title like 2 chapters in. It's like, no, this is the title. So
nice. Is there ever a time that you have started with the title and then kind of gone from there? But like, that's a cool idea based on the title. And if so, has the title stayed the same at the end?
Yes, but I have not finished writing the book yet.
Okay.
It's only happened one time. I want to say like 2017, 2018. I was doing a lot of like writing that was meant to be like identity exploration, not fully realizing why I was doing that at the time.
Sure.
But, that was very much that. And the main character of this story, her and her 4 friends were all living in the same dorm in a college. And basically it was supposed
they were roommates.
Well, yes, but not.
Sorry.
That's not the intent of that.
I had to.
Hold on, we'll get back there. Don't worry.
It's what I do. Okay.
Yes, no, I love roommates. They're gal pals, just the best of buds.
The best.
I have stickers like that upstairs. I sell when I go to my events in person. I have stickers that just say roommates in the colors of the lesbian flag. Anyway, no. So this girl, basically, it's like the ways that the 4 people that she's kind of developed as friends, how they influence her and help her to realize who she is. And she ultimately does fall in love with one of her friends' roommates, and they become roommates, and roommates eventually. But no, the only reason all this happens is because her like actual assigned roommate just unexpectedly drops out of college on the first day, and she's like the only person alone on her floor, and so she just kind of wanders around and meets these people. And I had a title first for this because I cannot stand Machiavelli, and therefore I wanted to do a play on something he had written. So it was called Discourses on Lizzie, because Lizzie was the main character of the book. And that was my first attempt at like planning out like a cover of what it looked like and whatnot. That one I've got about half written. I don't know if I'll finish that anytime soon, but I do think it's an interesting concept, even if I don't use it literally as is.
A little while back,
for the I love your keep on chess terms, Pawn Storm. No,
no, someone said that in chat.
Now have a chess title.
Let me put that up here. So you know what?
I'm just staying on. I just have the chat open. I saw it.
Yeah. A chat will surprise you. Bree is just great with their quips and questions, and I, for one, I'm excited about it.
Really?
A little while ago, you mentioned that you had designed a cover. Is that correct? And that was not. I did not go ideally for you, as in like you did not enjoy it. Is that right?
Well,
or did I misunderstand that?
The cover and I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can find a copy of it here. I don't know if I have it.
Okay.
I have some on order. It was one I put together as a mock-up to show my cover artist and go to her and be like, "Hi, can you do something like this? And then here's some examples of what I am trying to emulate here." And she's like, "Literally, all you have to do is add 2 Photoshop filters to this, and you will make what you have done. Let me show you how." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great, and I'm happy it looks like what I wanted. But I also never want to do a cover like this again." That like it's very much designed that way to be kind of a one-off standalone thing. Like I like my covers of my books to this point. Whether it be Kotov Syndrome or Woodpusher, they have that very manga-inspired cover style. And then I have Project Tasman here. I'll just show that. It's a very, not get it in lights, but it's very animated and stylized. It's also glossy, so I'm getting weird reflections off my backlighting. But it's got
a lot of action going on. I love a lot of movement happening in this.
I love particular that one. Style of cover. The cover I created is very, very much not that. Now it is intentionally done so for the story that is supposed to have it, but like I don't want to do it again just because like that's not the style of cover I like. It just made sense for this literal piece.
Sure. That makes sense. Okay, so you've got a couple of books in a series, and, and you said that Project Tasman is that its own story, or is that
it is its
not? Is that part of it?
It is its own standalone story.
Wonderful.
Originally, it started as so. It was kind of 2 things coming together. The first was that in mid-2019, one of my friends was writing a choose your own adventure style story via polls over on Twitter. And I'm like, I want to do that. And I want to do a short story told that way because it'd been a while since I'd done short story writing. And I just wanted to see how it would go. And so I did this short story and I'm like, okay, there's a character I've really liked and I want to bring her back and make her like a side character in the story just because I liked her and I want to play around with her voice a little bit. Like it was the entire intent of this plan. So I had written a character back in, I want to say like 2017, 2016. There's just this woman who is experiencing the final day of her best friend's life. Like that's the premise of the short story. And it's like a known she will die today. This best friend. Like it is known. There won't get too much into the context of why.
So it's a comedy.
No, very much not. What's weird is Project Ed that arguably is.
Nice. Okay.
It's also dark, but it is a comedy too. The original story was, focused on this woman trying to understand like her best friend is scheduled to die. And again, the why I'll get into in a minute, but like how she deals with that. And so I wanted to like play with the voice of this character. Because I knew that there was more there, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I started writing this and I made her just functionally this like guide around a hotel that other people were in, to where she was, functionally like a side character around the 2 main characters of the story. And I got through writing, what was the short story portion of it. And I was talking to a couple of my friends. They're like, yeah, continue on. Why not? It sounds like it could be something to go somewhere. Continue on. So I did, and I wrote 71,000 words of story via polls on Twitter as a result. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
It was a lot of words. The end count is almost 100,000. Because I underwrite when I do first drafts, I find. And the sign that was too short was still the fact that it was only 71,000 and it still felt like it was missing a lot. But so I wrote it across 2019, 2020. Then I got to the ending of it and I wrote like a wrap up ending for Twitter purposes. But I didn't like that ending objectively. And I'm like, no, the story needs, and I do not have time to do it anymore. So I wrote a very truncated ending. I'm like, this isn't the ending I want. And the ending I wanted, I was debating really hard between two different endings. One of which I think would have been more thematically satisfying, but significantly darker, or one that would have been a little bit brighter and not quite as thematically satisfying, but told a better narrative story. And I was very much torn between them, and so I just shelved it. Yeah, I shelved it and didn't touch it again until 2025. And then I did all the rewriting and editing in a haze in about 30 days. And sent it to my editor, and we had minimal feedbacks that needed done on it. And so, yeah, we're to the point where I'm going to be crowdfunding it soon. And I have this pretty copy where I was testing stuff and wanting to make sure all the formatting was right and whatnot. And still a couple minor tweaks I need to make to it, but nothing major at this point.
Awesome. Does it, with all of that in mind, and with the way that you wrote this, and that the amount of time it took to edit, and the really no necessary feedback, is it feeling like you're starting to really hone your craft at this point with this particular book? Or was there ever a point in time where you really started to feel like, wow, I'm really doing this. I'm honing this. This is now where I want to be. Or do you feel like you're constantly growing? You haven't really hit that kind of point yet. I'm really curious to know, because I tried being an author a long time ago. Didn't work out for me.
Well, so I feel like I am constantly growing. Like, I don't think that's inaccurate at all to say that. What I will say about this book that makes it unique is, like, Project Tasman, like, I've written other books. I have one book that's technically still out under my dead name. I have 3 books now out under my current pen name. This will be the 4th. And I've written a number of stories that haven't seen the light of day yet. Whether some of them will or not, some absolutely will, some never will. That's okay. This one, despite being written, like, this was finished before I started Woodpusher. This was finished before I started Opus.
Wow.
Before I started the Sapphic Twister story, before I started book 3 in that series. Like, pretty much anything I've done other than Kotov Syndrome was started after this was written. Kotov Syndrome, I had most of it done when I started this.
Okay.
And so, like, I don't know that the quality of this prose-wise is as good as, like I was writing, some of the stuff with Sapphic Twister story I was mentioning, and I sent some, snippets to my friend. Like, I was like, why is this coming out of my head first attempt? Like, it felt very good, right? It felt very impactful, very important. It's like, it felt very good prose-wise. I don't know that this, like, if I read this as a reader, I would feel as strongly about the prose in it as I do, like, the Sapphic Twister story. But what I do feel is this story is, I have never become attached to characters in my stories like I have with this book. The main character is a girl by the name Alana. And just to give a little bit of an overview of the book, Alana is a sous chef in Seattle, and she gets taken away to a government-run psychological experiment, basically. And she has to, as part of her time there, essentially has to choose who lives and who dies in the people that are in the experiment. Almost everyone is someone she knows. And generally speaking, are people she cares about. The key thing is that most everyone has dark secrets that they're hiding from her that could make them people that she would want to save. They could make them people that she feels betrayed her and want to kill her, or she wants to kill, or it could be something else, depending on situation. So it's this very mentally heavy book around Alana. And, like, the more I read through the book, the more I edit it, like I look at Alana and she's the main character of the story and having to make all these tough decisions. And in previous things I've written, and even things I've written since, like, I would argue that I tend to feel the strongest about the main characters because I put a lot into them. I relate to them heavily. In this book, she's like my 5th favorite character. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there are so many more interesting characters. There's more, not to say there's not nuance in what she does, but like there's so much in some of these other characters that's like I love or hate in some cases characters in this book so much that's like it's to another level compared to anything else I've written. And that I think is what makes the book appealing and what makes it interesting above and beyond the plot, above and beyond the identities of the characters in the story.
That's really cool. Well, I mean, it almost sounds like we've got the main character to drive things forward, but then we've got the flexibility of the kind of satellite characters to make them anything else and get to kind of build off of that.
Yeah. And I'm happy to talk about some of the characters in the book and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, the characters I mentioned at the beginning of talking about this. Oh, hey, my computer's restarting. The one I'm on.
Ooh, no.
No, I have my work computer over here. And it's doing updates. I'm like, why?
Oh, okay. I was like, no, you're live. Don't do that. I would not like that.
No. Work computer is just sitting in the background. I noticed it turned blue and it lit up my Facebook. Oh, it's because it's rebooting. Got it. Anyway,
give producer a heart attack for a second. I'm just kidding.
It may do it again. Anyway,
that's right.
So like I mentioned at the outset that this story kind of came about as a result of this side character. And she ends up working her way into the story. She is a character by name Brielle. She is the only character in the story that Alana does not know at the beginning of the story that could live or die in the story. And she is very much like, I look at her and she's been through a lot. She's had her best friend die. She's been taken away into the Project Tasman experiment herself. She's, as the story goes on, you find out she's been in there for a significant amount of time. Whereas most of the characters, they're in there for like a week or so. Hey, we're finishing our updates. She's been in there for like a week or so. Most of these characters have been. Brielle's been in there for literally years at this point. And it's taking a toll on her. And she, like, there's just this very much like, you get this, she just wants to be free. She just has this desire to be a person in the real world again. And I think that that's very relatable. She's also a character that spends a good portion of the book simping over both Alana and her fiance Quinn, which women relatable. I get it, but at the same point in time, like, like you look at this and it's very much like, okay, is this coming out of the gate? Is it this is somebody that's using the, traditional like spy story trope of I'm going to seduce you to get what I want type thing. And the more you dig into her, it's like
the honeypot.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how Alana suspects her to be initially. But then it's like, no, this is just somebody who is very trapped, very broken, very intelligent, but also very distrusting as a result of things. And she just wants to go eat chicharrones. All she wants.
That's all she wants. That's all she wants. Shay, would you be inclined to take some questions from chat at this time?
I will gladly take questions from chat.
Awesome. I feel like Bree might have some questions. Also, I do. I want to put this on screen for everyone from Bree Moonfire. I feel like your stories could be shows on Broadway with the amount of details and such that you put into your stories.
Does it help to know that my editor works in theater? And that is not a joke. Awesome. She works in theater in Scotland.
Oh, I love that. Why is that so cool to me? Because it's not America, probably. That's why.
Yeah, no, everything's cool if it's not America.
It's true.
But no, she works at a theater in Scotland, or at least she did last I knew, which was fairly recently. And yeah, I think that that's part of what's made my books better is like I am not trained in writing. I think I talked about this last time on the show. Like I didn't mean to become a writer. I just couldn't afford therapy. And it kind of became its own thing as a result of that. But like I have some writing background, albeit in journalism, that like, it's, my books kind of become this combination of like, telling stories from a journalistic standpoint, but also it is telling it in the style of authors I have liked, folks like M.T. Anderson and George Orwell and Hank Green and Octavia Butler and folks like that. And then, that gets fed through an editor who is very much like a lot of theater background, a lot of cabaret background that like stuff comes out, yo.
Stuff comes out, yo. I love it. Well, I've got got a first question here from Bree.
Ooh.
Bree Moonfire asks, right? I'm going to read this here to the best of my ability. All right. Since there are a lot of musically inclined people that watch this podcast, like me, I run the podcast. I'm not musically inclined. Tell us a bit about, I'm going to shorten this to Opus. How did you come up with this concept and what was your motivation for doing this project?
So the original premise behind Opus was that it was supposed to be, it's been supposed to be a 3-part series of stories the whole time. And I wrote the first 2 in fairly quick succession. And the first one is about a person who is under the belief that they are male because that's what they've been raised as, thought as, etc. And they keep having dreams about this woman who is a guitarist that is a gig musician at a bar that is local to them, and keep seeing her, keep thinking about her. And then one of the dreams, she comes up, talks, they go and they have pie at some place that's open, like a Denny's type thing and whatnot. And then he wakes up from those dreams and it's like he's trying to figure out like, oh, is this because I am stuck in a relationship that is toxic, that is actively harming me for what it is? And while those things are true, the more he thinks about it, he's like, yeah, no, that's a separate problem. What is this that I'm experiencing? And so like the way he goes about dealing with that is, and I borrowed some of the technology from Kotov Syndrome and Woodpusher just to be able to do this. He goes to a person who is a android maker essentially and asks them to create the girl that's in his dreams as a real android. And as he's talking to this person's like expecting it to be, this is somebody wanting to make a sex robot or whatever, because that's usually what she hears. And then he explains it to her and, she's like, dude, you sure this is what you want? And like kind of heavily hinting at maybe the android isn't what the thing is here. But no, insistent on finding this android and whatnot. And, does. And they are close friends and they become close friends, but like it's still not fulfilling. And it's because the self-actualization is something that they had to have, something that they had to understand. And, that was the third part of the story that admittedly took me significantly longer to write than the first 2 parts. Both between trying to understand myself and then also just it's objectively harder to write. And like, I think that as I wrote this, like I kept it being musically themed in part because of Lucina, the main robot character, the girl in the dream. is a guitarist. Like that's her, like she's a gig musician in the dream. That's always her job there. But because of that, it became like in my head this almost like three-part um three movement story that you had to tell, very much like some songs
Ah,
are broken into movements like that, and that's why I wrote it in the manner I did. um I'm sure there's actual good writing structure reasons behind that, but that's not how I view this. Like this is this is a story that can be told musically. I even wrote my own sheet music for it.
that's amazing.
It's somewhere on a computer at this point.
Sure.
I need to find it. It's critical. I need to find it because when I do the crowdfunding for this book,
Hmm.
if people back in the first 48 hours, I'm handwriting sheet music bookmarks for people. Um, so like I need to find this soon.
Soon.
Yeah, like I need to find it by next Monday,
Okay.
not
Well,
not Monday is coming like the following.
yeah.
I know it's on
Control
one of
F
my
is your
computers.
friend. Control F is your best friend.
Problem is I don't know what I saved the sheet music as.
Oh no. Final draft, final.
That's
Really this time final?
absolutely a possibility.
Yeah, definitely this one. Well, other things like named papers in college. Oh my god. Right. Um thank you. That was an excellent answer. Okay. I've got more.
Yeah.
Bree Moonfire has more.
Hi, Bree.
They've got the questions. Much like Arby's having the meats.
According to the Onion, they have the teats.
There you go. Discuss your job at Place Editing Service. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Discuss your job at Place Editing Service. What is your process and how do you give constructive feedback to people that may not want to change much of their stories?
So I look at editing as a way to help authors tell the story they want to tell. It is hard, I think, to convince someone that there is a better way to do something in a story, but I think that the way to do that is first and foremost to be kind. As stupid of a starting point as that is, I think a lot of people fail that basic check. So being kind, I think, is a critical thing. Beyond that, though, it's a matter of, okay, having discussion with the person. Okay, what is the most critical? Like, what are the things that drive you to be passionate about this story, whatever that story is? In in almost every situation I've been in as an editor, there have been, a thing or multiple things in the story that people care about. Like, if that thing were to change, it would not be their story. Cool. We're not touching that. Let's look and see how these things around that impact the story you want to tell. And if it doesn't advance this key part, that's when we need to re-examine it. And I think that kind of framing it in that way helps in most cases. Now it's not 100%. And I will admit I'm not always right on it. This is ultimately the author's story, not mine as an editor. But at the same point in time, like I do try to give the guidance I can to the best of my abilities, and that's what I do. Also, I like how Bree's like looking at my entire CV this entire time, which is impressive.
Yeah. Bree's on it. Bree's on the case. I feel like it kind of reminds me of a little bit of like mastering music. You tend not to want to like master your own mix of music because your ear is biased.
Yes.
So it kind of sounds similar to editing with novels and stories and novella and short stories and everything.
Yeah,
but,
it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And like if you're looking at mastering versus, editing, I think that's a good parallel because like some of the best editors I have seen, be they whether I've worked with them personally or not, are very much looking at books as art, just as music is art, just as physical art, canvas art, whatever it is art. And for as much as you can tell a beautiful story through whatever medium you wish to tell it through, what is the thing that's going to bring your audience in, be it a listener of music, be it a reader to your books, whatever it may be? What's that thing that's going to hook them in? What's the bait that's going to get them in? And as an editor, if you can figure that out, you can really be the master of that bait. Wait.
Incredible.
I'm going to report the jokes in. I'm sorry.
We gotta get the jokes in. We're all about the jokes here.
Yes.
And by we, I mean me. All right, I've got one more question from Bree, and then I think we'll probably have time for intermission. Let's check it out here. I apologize if I butcher the pronunciation of the Realm series. Do you plan to have any more stories in the Azus Realm series? Azus. I did it right the first time. Yay me. Realm series.
Yes, I'm working on book 3 right now. The intent is to have 6 books in the series. I hope to have book 3 done to where it can be out next year, hopefully. We'll see. Writing is going slower than I had hoped on that. 2028 might be more realistic at this stage, but we're going to try for next year. And then going to try and finish the remaining books in short order after that. I will say, book 3, like, I have all 6 books outlined at this point. Book 3 is going to be the hardest one to write, and I know this. So, and it's just because there's a lot that has to happen in it. So, this I think is going to be the slowest one to write, I think.
Okay. Okay. Well, whenever it's done, or you're ready to plug it, you hit me up. We'll do all this all over again.
We got to get there.
We'll get there. Oh, fantastic. Well, we have a little bit of time left here. If you have any more questions from anyone in chat, I'll give you folks a second to get your questions thought of. I want to go back to my brain. I'm like a bear to honey. My brain is stuck on the Sapphic Twister story because if it's not called Titty Twister, I don't know what it's going to be called, okay?
It is not going to be called Titty Twister.
God damn it. Okay. All right, fine. A girl can dream. Okay.
Now, I'm not saying I'm opposed to making that a chapter title.
Okay. Can you dedicate that to me?
But no, I have a working title for that one.
Okay. You're not going to tell us, are you?
No, because I'm not it's like 90% sure at this point. It's not.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. Okay. Oh, I'm so invested though. I feel like Twister and lesbians go together like Jurassic Park and lesbians. You know, they're just really
and bisexuals.
Like the Mummy and bisexuals, right? It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Mm-hmm.
Or peanut butter, jelly, and you got some good bread because the bisexuals. We'll get the metaphor right somehow.
No.
Right?
That I don't agree with that. Bisexuals are not there for the bread. Pansexuals are because pan is bread in Spanish.
Ooh, okay. There we go. I've been schooled. Nice. Oh my goodness. Got the jokes for days. Oh, okay. Trinity LaFay in chat says, the Mummy cast drool. Yeah. It was the movie that outed generations of bisexuals. Got you questioning, at least, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know several people that that's the movie that had them questioning things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're gonna go once for questions, twice for any questions in chat. I'm gonna count to 5. If there are no more questions, we're gonna call it intermission time and get hydrated and dehydrate, as in biorigs.
Yeah, I see Buffy the Vampire Slayer is another suggestion.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the bisexual awakening. Yep, that's you. Yep, I'll put that on screen. That's worthy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, Mm-hmm.
What?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask Bree in chat. I'm like, wait, who, like, specifically, was there like specific characters for you, Bree? Now I have to know. But I'll give them time to percolate. What were you going to...
Do you remember if we talked last time about like trans awakening characters in stuff for me or no? I don't remember if we had that discussion or not.
I don't think we had that discussion. Oh, Trinity says, Bree says yes to my question. Mm-hmm. Good answer, Bree. All of them. And then Trinity and I definitely agree, says Giles, Anthony Stewart Head. Yes, absolutely. But yes, I would love to, we can definitely delay intermission a little bit. I would love to hear more of this.
No, so the earliest like character that made me like, I had suspected there was something different, but I didn't have words to put to it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a character who very much made me question strongly, as somebody who's very attracted to women, am I into this character or do I want to be this character? And the answer was both, but it's neither here nor there. And that's Sydney Bristow from Alias.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Jennifer Garner. First of all, that character, beautiful, love it so much. And then she did Daredevil, Elektra, and like not the best movie, but the character's so good, made me happy. Then she did 13 Going Up 30. It made me so bad. It was such a bad movie.
Yeah. I remember Alias. Alias got me too. It took me a while to be like, transgender. Yes, the thing. This is the thing. It was always like, something's going on here. I'm kind of effeminate, and I always have been. But I've been trying to fight against it. And it was definitely like, I watched that show and I was like, riveting. Yes. Show me more about this wig. Yes. Okay.
Admittedly, initially, I just thought it was, hello, I am attracted to women and you are very attractive. And that was also true, to be clear. But,
sure.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yes, exactly. All right. We did it. We made it to intermission.
Yay.
Everyone, don't forget to hydrate and just remember the rules of intermission. What happens at intermission stays at intermission. Trinity, I don't want to see no bras hanging from the fucking fans again. Bree, I don't want to see the lampshade on your head again, okay? You got to be on your best behavior when the lights come back on. But you can do whatever you want during intermission, as long as you don't violate Twitch TOS, because we're still live. I need a cold shower intermission.
When I talk about the book during the next stream, I will be careful choosing my wording then.
Okay, it's good. Okay, good to know. It's Mom. Yes, Mom. Oh, Wolfie arrived just at intermission. It's okay, Wolfie. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be vamping. That's what I do. I vamp the whole time because I hold my pee. Okay, but for realsies, this is the part where I play the outro, so that I know where to edit into different episodes for later, because that's who I am as a person, and I'm not apologizing for it. Any last words before intermission starts?
Gazebo, Tuberculosis, Macadamia, Blubber.